One place I could express myself and find myself was in my imagination. So, to put it succinctly, I was drawn to acting because I was wounded and wanted approval, and I found it.
Well, I tried to deny it for a very long time. There wasn't a lot of acting opportunity, and my parents really wanted me to go to school and study something sensible, so I took psychology, but throughout, the arts kept finding me.
Performing in front of an audience is one of the most magical experiences that you can have. The reciprocal kind of energy that exchanges in a performance.
It was February 16th, 2020, and I was doing a cabaret show of my own, and I had a band behind me. My partner got up on stage and sang with me, and interestingly, looking back at all that, it slipped away very, very quickly.
I was really lucky to be in a huge hit musical called Come From Away at the Royal Alexandra Theatre. My job performing in the company was a standby or an understudy. So I played 4 of the 6 lead women. So my day was always tied to a text message of you might be going on with, could be as little as 20 minutes notice. So we did shows 6 days a week, and that was my life when the pandemic hit.
When it all actually went down and we shut down that afternoon, our producer gave a lovely speech about how we're taking a break and we'll be back in a couple of weeks. We were 10 days from opening the show on Broadway. I was exhausted, so my first thought was, I'm getting a break. I'm grabbing my small suitcase, I'm going back to Toronto, and I'm going to get some rest with friends.
The first thing on my mind when the pandemic happened was certainly not that we'd still be in it 2 years later.
Will this last forever? Will I never act again?
The NBA shut down, and then suddenly it became very, very real. It was my livelihood. Well, what am I going to do now? How am I going to live? How am I going to make money and support myself?
Somebody want to hire me? Hire me. I need work. We all do.
When Broadway shut down, like every single theater on Broadway shut down, that was shocking. That was when I knew that this was unlike anything we had experienced, and it was going to be an adjustment.
The Royal Alex is a very big space, and it's about 2,400 seats. And we're used to that show selling out every show. And then to slowly see numbers dwindling, we weren't sure if we should be up there or if audiences should be out there. So when we took the pause, we really thought it was just for, a week or 2. I don't think any of us really knew the seriousness of how long this would last.
I know many people who got COVID, myself included. It was not fun at all. When Nick Cordero passed away, the Hamilton-born actor who was recently on Broadway, very early on, when he was in a coma and then ended up passing away, I think that was just a huge shock. It could happen to anybody.
I've lost people, I've lost family, I've lost friends. It's been a tough time.
And in early March of 2021, my partner and I were diagnosed with COVID. After the weekend, I certainly wasn't feeling great, but I could feel myself getting better. And my partner, Russell, was not getting better. In fact, he was getting worse. He had trouble breathing, and they said, go to the hospital. I cannot stress to people how hard that was and how surreal it was that we were packing him up, and he rode in the back seat while I drove him to the hospital, and he's telling me my will is in my side table by the bed. While that was going on, the Ontario government was talking about opening things up. Does nobody understand what's happening here right now? I think he was really lucky because he went in right before the hospitals got packed again.
I had a little cash to live on for a while. As soon as government support was available, I applied for it, and I was very lucky that quite shortly after that, I got a job voicing a cartoon. So that's been infrequent work, but welcome cash.
But I think we're all feeling very fragile right now in a role, because in a night, our entire industry was taken away from us.
I was supposed to do a Shakespeare play. The play obviously got canceled. They decided to have all the company members meet once a week on Zoom and do readings of Shakespeare's plays.
Everyone was bleeding, everyone was suffering, and so we thought, why not join forces and do a dinner and show?
So we created a half-hour live.
A lot of people buy ring lights. I just found this like little nook and I got like one lamp and set it up.
The audience was invited, but we couldn't see them. They could see us.
And we did that 3 times a week for 3 months. So we did over 40 shows live.
That was sort of the light in that time.
It was really a different and interesting experience.
I made a conscious decision not to do any at-home performances.
I hated it. I really hated it.
So it's a lot of sitting alone in a room on your butt, which is not what acting is often like.
So if I'm not performing, what am I going to be doing? I thought I've got this time off. So I spent the last year in school.
I created a character of a weatherman who is frustrated because it's the height of the lockdown and nobody's outside. So nobody gives a shit about the weather. And so he realizes that his job is obsolete. In fact, the news anchor says, what's the weather out there? And he says, why don't you just check your fucking phone, Connie?
I think the industry was really kicked in the private parts.
You're just having to deal with so much more that we never dealt with before. And it's not just people on stage, it's people behind the scenes, it's production houses, it's front of house staff in a theater.
People don't realize how much art affects their lives.
Touching people on so many levels, hundreds of thousands of people.
Every time you read a book, you look at a painting that's in your house, it's probably because of an artist.
I think going back to what we used to do without learning a lesson is very much a human trait. We search for comfort, we search for ease, we search for what we know. But I don't think it's time to do that yet. And I think what we're seeing right now is we can do live performance. And it's all gonna blow up and shut down. And I hope I'm wrong, but maybe that's the slap in the face we need to learn, that live performance can mean a whole lot of things.
There's kind of this culture in theater where the show must go on, and if you're not feeling well, you still push through and you do it. And that culture can't exist anymore.
Soak it in, feel the strings.
I'll always be performing because it's in my lifeblood. I was born to be an actor and I'll probably die an actor. I mean,
Has the pandemic changed the way I view art as a medium?
no, because I've always felt that art is one of the pillars of society. The acting profession is the second oldest one in the world, next to prostitution. And I don't think I want to do that during the pandemic. So,
The way I think it should happen is that you should have avenues to absolutely address what we've been through.
The platform that artists have is essential in pushing for diversity and to show a good balance of all different kinds of people and stories and perspectives.
And then I think you need to have things that, are escapist, things that just, you go to the theater, you go to a concert, and you're just there to have a good time.
It's the tiny little sounds that an audience makes as they're engrossed in the journey of a character. So that's why you do it. I mean, film and television is incredible, especially for the money, but there isn't an immediate reassurance or understanding of how it's being received, what you're putting out there, like there is on theater.
Do I think audiences will come back? Gosh, I hope so. I really do hope so.
I'm a performer, but the reason I got into theater, the reason most of us get into it is because we are audience members first.
We get to sit and watch somebody have an experience that we haven't necessarily had, and we can find out how we relate to that or what that says to us. Theater is the same thing as looking at a painting.
If I ever took this for granted, I never will again. It feels like we're getting back. And hopefully we will continue to have those stories.